Hi, friends. This is Adam Shoemaker, Rector here at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in downtown Charleston, back for another edition of Rector's Corner. And I'm very happy to have with us St. Stephen's' former assistant priest, the Reverend Courtney Davis-Shoemaker, who now serves as the priest in charge at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in West Ashley. Courtney, thank you for making the time for this conversation. I would love if you could just begin by telling us what called you to St. Peter's?
Thank you, Adam, for having me. And it's a joy to have this conversation with you. As you and many know, I had been serving at St. Stephen's as the assistant priest for almost 5 years. And what had become clear to me in that last summer after we moved to West Ashley, that I was yearning or feeling called to a more full-time position. I wasn't sure what that would look like or where that would necessarily be, but our family was in transition, and I was so excited when I got an email from the diocese in late August about a listening session at the returning congregation of St. Peter's in West Ashley. And to tell you the truth, I didn't even know exactly where that building was, but I attended that listening session, and as I began praying about it and really trying to discern, I had a conversation with Bishop Ruth, who said, this is going to be a full-time position. And I said, this is a creative and exciting opportunity. And having moved to West Ashley just felt like a really wonderful opportunity. And so Bishop Ruth asked me to join as the priest in charge.
Well, and Courtney, I know that St. Peter's has a rich and varied history. I wonder if you could share with those listening in just a little bit about that history.
Sure. So St. Peter's, the first St. Peter's Church was on the peninsula, actually on Logan Street, and that was built in 1835. And that church remained there from 1835 until 1861, when it was destroyed by fire. And so after that fire in 1861, the members of St. Peter's eventually joined with Christ Church that was on Rutledge Avenue and Sumner Street. And so those individuals from St. Peter's joined with Christ Church, and eventually the Christ Church building was torn down. And in 1931, St. Peter's built a new church in that location, and they were there from 1931 until 1973, when they then moved to their current location here on Miles Drive in West Ashley. After they moved to this location, they eventually changed their name to Church of the Good Shepherd. And since this is a returning congregation, we have decided to return to the historic name of St. Peter's. When this church was originally built, it was built in phases. And so as people drive by on Miles Drive, they can really notice that the primary sanctuary space was the first building that was built in 1972. Then in 1975, the parish hall and classrooms were added to the building. 10 years later, the administration building was added. And then in 2004, the bell tower, and in 2010, the narthex. And so what has been really interesting to learn in my first year here is that with each addition, sometimes the roof lines didn't fit correctly, and it wasn't always done very well. And so that has led to a lot of building issues, primarily around water damage, termite damage, and mold.
Well, and I know, Courtney, that St. Peter's just had a wonderful moment at our convention when it was welcomed back into the diocese formally as a mission. But I'd like to back up and ask you what you've been up to during your first full year, just about now, as the priest in charge. I know you've been busy. Can you talk a little bit about what's been going on over the past 12 months?
Course. Well, I think part of it has really been trying to figure out if the building is safe for us to gather for regular worship. And I was very clear that I did not want to begin offering services here and then find out later that we were going to have to leave the building for more construction to take place. And so in January, we really started figuring out what exploratory work needed to be done in order to make sure that this building is safe and secure. And so over the past year, we've really opened up walls, done a lot of testing, working with our architect, Charles Kane, and our contractors. And what we've determined is that the parish hall and classrooms will need to be demolished. And behind me, you can see the sanctuary. There is still work that needs to be done in this space. But the administration building, because it was built in 1985, overall has pretty good bones. And so we've done a light touch remodel to that space. And that's where we will begin worshiping regularly, Advent 1. But while all this work was taking place within the building, and it's hard because when people drive by on Miles Drive, it's almost impossible to know all the work that's been taking place on the inside. I think that's going to become clearer in 2026 as work becomes more evident, obviously, on the outside. But we also have been gathering a community throughout the months in various ways. So, for example, the Lutheran Church of the Redeemer in Avondale opened their doors, and we've been having Episcopal worship at 5 p.m. Once a month there in Avondale. We also had a number of worship services in members' homes, which was a lovely way for us to continue to get to know one another. We've held Bible studies at the local library and monthly spiritual book groups. Frothy Beard Brewery is our neighbor, and so we also have gathered there once a month for fellowship. So it very much has been trying to work on securing a safe space for worship at our location on Miles Drive, while also trying to continue to build our community through different worship and fellowship activities.
Well, and in that description of your year, Courtney, you mentioned a great milestone that I know is fast approaching, and that is that St. Peter's will be beginning regular Sunday worship very soon, the first Sunday in Advent, November the 30th, the Sunday right after Thanksgiving. Can you tell us where on the campus that will be taking place, and anything else you might want to share about the beginning of regular worship?
So we are going to begin offering regular Sunday evening worship at 5 p.m. starting November 30th, Advent 1. And that worship will be taking place in a room in the administration building. And we are working on figuring out exactly what we're going to call that space, but that is where we will be worshiping for the time being, while they continue to work on and renovate the church space here. And then we will also be having regular fellowship and learning opportunities. And it is an exciting time. And I just hope that people will know that they are welcome here at St. Peter's. I know that a lot of people have their regular uh, church and worship space, but if they're out of town on Sunday mornings and want to go to church on a Sunday evening, we will be worshiping regularly at 5 p.m. And my hope is that people will just help get the word out. There's not been an Episcopal congregation in West Ashley for a number of years, and it's simply people letting others know if they're looking for a welcoming church community that the doors of St. Peter's are open.
It's very exciting for St. Peter's and for West Ashley, for the Episcopal presence there. Courtney, as you look ahead to 2026, look ahead to your second full year as priest in charge now with regular worship. I wonder what your hopes are for the community.
I think my hope is very much that people will continue to um, see a very visible Episcopal presence here in West Ashley, whether that's um, through joining in worship activities or learning activities in the church, but we're also, for example, in December, hosting a screening of a documentary film on December 4th. And so it's trying to find other ways that the community feels welcomed into this space. It's been closed really for the past 2 years, and we're just hoping that people will feel welcome and invited to come and see what's happening here, and to know that wherever they are in their spiritual journey, they're welcome to be a part of this community.
Well, and I know that St. Stephen's has been supportive already of the ministry of St. Peter's. You might um, say a little bit about that, but I wonder for those of us at St. Stephen's who are listening in to this interview and others across the diocese, what are ways that we can be supportive of your ministry and the people of St. Peter's?
I am so grateful for all the ways members of St. Stephen's and folks from around the diocese have been supportive of this ministry. Early on, there were a lot of materials left here by the previous community. And so it has been going through things, donating items. And we just had a number of people who came from churches around the diocese to help with that, with those projects. Bill Coyne also served as a mentor and companion that the diocese appointed to help me in the early months. And I'm thrilled that Bill Geeson is now working at St. Peter's as the director of music and communications. And so I truly have felt the support from around the diocese as we help get this community up and running. Clearly, also the diocese is so intricately involved in these plans and the financial resources that they are providing this community. We would not be able to have a vibrant ministry here in West Ashley without the commitment and support of Bishop Ruth Woodliff Stanley and the diocesan staff. So I'm so thankful. Ways that people can be of support moving forward. Again, feel free to come and visit, help spread the news. There continue to be volunteer opportunities. If anyone is interested, they could email me directly at my email is Courtney at stpeters saintpeterscharleston.org. For example, we are in the process of changing all the light bulbs in the administration building, and it's needing folks who may be able to help with that project. Or another way to get information is going to our website, which is stpeterscharleston.org. And from our website, you can also sign up for our newsletter. In the newsletter, I'm regularly giving updates about the work that's being done here, but also about different activities that are happening here in West Ashley. And so it's checking out that information and figuring out, oh, would I like to participate in that? Do I know someone that I could forward this to that might like to participate? Very much my hope is that people will, this time next year, when they drive by St. Peter's on Miles Drive, will be able to say, that's an Episcopal church here in West Ashley. We see the work that's being done there. We know the doors are open. That's very much my hope for the coming year.
Terrific, terrific. Well, thank you, Courtney, for making the time and for everything that you are doing alongside your mission council to reestablish an Episcopal presence in West Ashley. It's so important. And for those listening in, please do keep Courtney and that growing congregation of folks in your prayers. Check out the website, sign up for the newsletter. And I do think it is important to be said that we are all a part of the same Episcopal church, and that 5 p.m. Sunday evening worship time is a wonderful complimentary offering during the weekends for anybody in the area. So go check them out and be a part of one of their worship services. Thank you for all those who've taken the time to listen into this conversation. I'll be back for another edition of Rector's Corner next month. In the meantime, friends, you stay safe and well, and you keep the faith. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.